So in this video, I want to take a look at a library that I created for the Dice Damage Explained video. The main code that we saw in the last video uses it. It's this dice.py library that I made. It automatically takes care of importing the VPython libraries that you need. And then it also imports the random library so that you can do dice rolls. And it's pretty straightforward. The dice are going to be stored in a list called dice_list. So every time you enter that D command that we saw last time, it's going to store that set of dice in the dice list. So you imagine this is like you're gathering your dice in front of you to roll as you make your attack or cast your spell or whatever you're doing. The first function we have defined is a function that clears this list. So after we make the histogram, we want to clear that list so that we can start anew. That one's pretty straightforward. It basically loops over every item in that list and uses this remove command. I was originally using just this line to set the dice list equal to an empty list, but that was giving me some errors. So here it just goes down the list and removes each one. There might be a more efficient way of doing this. This is based on my limited experience with lists in VPython. If you know of, or excuse me, lists in Python. If you know of a better way, feel free to let me know in the comments below. The main thing that we have here is a new class called dice. So this is a new class of object, and it basically stores two numbers. It stores the number of sides that this dice has and the number of those dice that you have. So technically you could do without this. You could just, scale this down and just have the same number of, you could just have the same sided dice called over and over and over again. So instead of calling D6, 3, you could do D3 6 times if you wanted to make this a little bit simpler, but then that's more for the user to have to enter. So I decided to just go this way. Plus, this is the way we usually talk, right? Is we usually say blank D blank. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out a way to get a syntax where you can just call number D number. So right now it's just D of number inside. So that's where we come to this, and this is kind of the main thing for this code is how you create those dice. So basically this is the command we were using last time. It accesses that dice list and it adds to them the number of dice of the appropriate sides. So what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, I want you to, on this dice list, I want you to append one dice of that many sides. So when you call this function, you're adding a number of sided dice. So for example, if you wanted to create 3 6-sided dice, 3d6, you would enter D3, 6. We saw commands like that last time. And then one thing we haven't used yet is this handy thing where this will perform a roll for you using all of the dice in dice_list. So this is something you could use during a game to make your dice rolls. So all it does is it starts out with a total here. It also takes into account a bonus. So the one function, excuse me, you can give it as an argument a bonus. If you don't give it that argument, it'll take that as a 0. So this is your, I guess I should call it modifier, not bonus, because you might roll with a penalty instead of a bonus. Actually, why don't we change that now? When we change to modifier, total equals modifier. And basically what it does is it loops over all the dice in that list. It picks a random number between 1 and the number of sides. So if it's a 6-sided dice, it picks a number between 1 and 6 inclusive, and then adds that to the total, and then it prints out the total for you. So let's see how you might use this in a sample code. Let's make a code from scratch. First, let's save it to the right folder. So let's say sample diceroll.py. So all I need to do here is say import dice. Actually, I guess the way you do it is from dice import star, right? Is that the, yeah, that's how I did it over here and it worked. So that's how I'll do it in this one. So from dice import star. All we're going to do now is say we want to create a set of dice we're rolling. So let's say we are rolling let's say we're swinging a weapon that gives us a 1d8 to roll, right? So that'll add 1d8 to the list. And then let's say this weapon has a fire enhancement so that it adds 1d6 of fire damage. And then let's suppose we are also making a sneak attack with this So we would add another d6 for the sneak attack. So let's say this is the base weapon. Let's say this is a fire enhancement. Let's say this is a sneak attack. And actually, why don't we... Yeah, that'll be fine. Cool. So what I do then is I just say, okay, I want to make a roll. Now, if I want to add in a modifier to this... Oh, it hasn't updated the name of that yet. Oh, well, that's fine. Let's make sure we save that. There we go. So if I want to add a bonus to this, let's say I add my strength bonus of 2 to that, and it will print for me that total. So all I have to do is enter this, and I'm ready for a dice roll. And it gives me a 20. 20 damage, not a 20 on a d20. And because it's random, I can keep doing this, and it'll give me different amounts. So there I went down to 10. Oops. There I went to 17. And of course, this is where you begin wondering, well, how frequent are each of these roll possibilities? And that's where you go into the dice stats the dice stats program. This is where you would put in that combination down here. Why don't we do that just because I'm curious now as to what those things would do. Let's get this copy. Let's hash this out. There we go. Let's put in this. Now I'm curious what this distribution would be. And let's do make stats color.red on our enhanced sneak attack D8 weapon. Ooh, that is quite nice. That's very nice and smooth. It's got a nice range. It's got a minimum of 3. Yeah, that makes sense because it's 3 dice. It's got a maximum of 20. Wow, so that first time we rolled the maximum. Good for us. And it's got this, I mean, that is a very nice, almost Gaussian shape to it. So anyway, that gives you an idea of what you can use this dice library for some very simple dice rolls. If you'd rather have your Python-equipped laptop at your gaming table instead of some dice. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Next time we'll take a look at that make stats routine. Bye-bye.